All right, let's talk about this bizarre change, but welcome change over the last maybe 96 hours, in which many Republicans and some right-wing media figures have started talking about go get vaccinated. The vaccine is good. The vaccine is safe. The vaccine will keep most people alive. Not everybody. So even though the headlines have been Fox News goes pro-vax, Republicans go pro-vax. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, people like Tucker Carlson, they've continued to do the anti-vax stuff. But there is a real question, which is, why is this all of a sudden happening? There's a great article in The Atlantic by David Graham called Suddenly Conservatives Care About Vaccines. A number of leaders on the right suddenly urged their audiences to get vaccinated in the past day. Why now? And there are a number of different ideas proposed here. And the article goes through Hannity saying that you've got to take this seriously. Steve Doocy saying if you have a chance, get the shot. It will save your life. Ben Shapiro saying get vaxxed. I did, my wife did, my parents did. Newsmax CEO Christopher Ruddy saying Joe Biden should be applauded for making a dent in the COVID pandemic. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise, who has had conspicuously declined to get a shot, announced he finally did get vaccinated. And there is a clear shift in tone, as David Graham writes in the Atlantic article, but it's not exactly clear why it's happening. One suggestion, as reported by CNN's Caitlin Collins, was that there have been regular high-level conversations between the White House and Fox News regarding pandemic and vaccine coverage, but Fox quickly denied that report. Another possibility is simply that the COVID surge, fueled by the Delta variant, is making some of these Republicans realize the hospitals are getting overloaded. We could be looking at lockdowns being reinstated here as they are around the world. And all of a sudden, when the stock market dropped precipitously on Monday, even though it more than recovered on Tuesday and Wednesday, Republicans all of a sudden cared. The other real possibility is that Republicans might be doing the math that many of you have been doing who write to me and say, David, if you have dramatically higher vaccination rates among Democrats than among Republicans, could this have an electoral impact in the sense that Republicans are going to kill off too many of their own voters because they are the ones not getting vaccinated and it will cause them to lose elections? Like, could it be as simple as dead people can't vote? I don't know. I don't know, because even with that, you have the conspiracy of I got some emails about this a couple days ago. People writing to me saying, David, you people aren't doing a good job of lying about the vaccine. This is the view of a right wing conspiracy theorist. It's a little too suspicious that mostly unvaccinated people are getting sick and dying. That must be part of the conspiracy. And it's like, no, it's that the vaccines work really well at preventing death. So it makes sense that it's mostly unvaccinated people that are getting sick and dying. A couple of instances here of such pro-vaccine statements from people we might not expect it from. And then I'm going to get to another possibility that might explain what's going on. Here's Florida Republican governor, just make it, known as COVID Jesus to some people, a guy who ignored every guideline early on and said have full capacity boxing, wrestling, everything in Florida. Here he is making a lot of sense.
So here's, I think, the most important thing with the data.
Yeah.
If you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, the chance of you getting seriously ill or dying from COVID is effectively zero. If you look at the people that are being admitted to hospitals, over 95% of them are either not fully vaccinated or not vaccinated at all.
Indeed.
And so these vaccines are saving lives. They are reducing mortality. Mortality in nursing homes since we rolled out the vaccines in December is down over 95%.
So a really, really strong pro-vaccine statement. And it could be motivated, again, by the fact that Florida has had a big upsurge and now represents the one state of Florida is 1 out of 5 COVID cases in the entire country. Here is Mitch McConnell pleading for the vaccine.
Get vaccinated.
Leader McConnell, on that note, the Republican governor of Utah said this weekend that conservative talking heads are, quote, literally killing their supporters. Would you speak out against people who are actually speaking out against the vaccine?
I don't know how I could be any more clear than I have been. I've been saying the same thing about vaccinations all along the way. Others can say whatever they choose to say, but this is something I think I'm a good example of, something I know the answer to. It is not at all unclear that the way to avoid getting back in the hospital is to get vaccinated. I want to encourage everybody to do that and to ignore all of these other voices.
So what do you think explains this? What do you think explains the change? You know, if it was only Fox News, even though they've denied conversations with the White House, could there have been some promise of access, right? This is how stuff works. Listen, we will give you a Joe Biden town hall if you guys really help us promote vaccines. That would be completely plausible the way media works. But it's not just Fox News that's doing it. And also Fox has denied conversations with the White House. They may be lying, but let's assume they're telling the truth. Is it as simple as Republicans are realizing that it's disproportionately their voters that are dying? Is it simply motivated by self-preservation? I don't know the answer, but I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think explains this change in tone? And remember, it's not a total shift. Even during these last few days, we've still seen the anti-vax stuff from some Republican members of Congress, from some on Fox News. So it's not a 180-degree change, but it is definitely a change in tone. Let me know your thoughts. We'll have more about this on our Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show. Find me on Instagram at david.pakman as well. One of our sponsors is Curiosity Stream, the subscription streaming service that offers thousands of documentaries from the world's best filmmakers. So yes, there are some documentaries on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, but none of those streaming services give you anything close to the selection of what you get on Curiosity Stream. They have all the newest and most critically acclaimed documentary titles. I'm always finding amazing stuff that I can't find anywhere else. I just actually watched Engineering the Future, and just super interesting about we really may be on the precipice here of a total paradigm shift in terms of what human engineering can do. And they're always adding new stuff on Curiosity Stream. They have documentaries on every topic imaginable I can watch on every device I own. And the best part is that when you go to curiositystream.com/Pakman, my audience gets 25% off. That makes it $15 for the entire year. That is not a lot of money for the amount of enjoyment that I know you will get from Curiosity Stream. And the link is right underneath this video.